want you to think about the choices we make and the social worlds we create.
What's the damage?
It's complicated.
Are you going to tell us?
We'd like to know that.
Okay. Fine. Okay, gather.
Well, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is Neil will be taking over both branches and some of you will lose your jobs. Yeah. Those of you who are kept on will have to relocate to Swindon if you want to stay. I know, gutting. You didn't see me. On a more positive note, the good news is I've been promoted. So everything counts. You still think about the bad news, aren't you?
So bad news and irrelevant news.
Yeah, that's not a phrase though, is it? I couldn't come out and go, oh, I've got some bad news and some irrelevant news.
You could have just told us about Neil. Kept your promotion to yourself.
Should have told us the good news first. Got the answer.
Well, good news, David.
I think promotion is genuinely considered good news.
We're going to lose our jobs.
You're not all going to lose your jobs. God, just... Right, you're not going to lose your job. You're not going to lose your job. You know, you're not going to lose your job. It's all unexpected, yeah? You know there's only 7 people on the board, yeah?
When the rest is going to find out?
All right, so classic and well-acted example of those moments. And the great thing about watching something like this is it's just so obvious up here. And in fact, he learns his lesson, right? Because at the end of the scene, what's he getting ready to share? What's he going to share with everybody? Yeah, the landslide voting gun. You know, it's finally it gets through. Okay, they don't want to hear that. But think of those choices that we make and how those decisions affect the social worlds. Now let me give you a more. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. The last thing that I want to share with you is a concept that we use to help us identify and label those particular moments where we might be able to make something different in a conversation with other people. And we call these bifurcation points, the point at which we can diverge and sort of change the social world that we're in and move it to a different social world. Barnett Pierce, who really has come up with this idea, shares this thought with us about our interactions with others and with these opportunities we have to create social worlds. We're so caught up in the meaning of what's going on that we lose sight of the possibilities of changing the shape of the pattern. When I think about one of the things I think about in this particular context is we get an argument with somebody. We get so caught up in the meaning of the argument to us in terms of how it damages our ego or how because we want to be right or wrong or because we want to win. We get so caught up in the meaning, looking through the process to that outcome. I don't want to lose, and so I'll up the ante. I grew up in a family. My older brother was kind of it was just the perfect older brother. He just was 24/7 of torment while I was growing up. And we did something in our family called dibs. I don't know if you guys, I don't know if it's a regional thing or we dibbed things. We call dibs on stuff. So you're getting I call dibs on the front seat if you're going in the car. Or dibs on that Sullivan. And in our family, dibs was better than the Geneva Convention. I mean, there was no avenue of appeal. You had to accept it. It was just a fact of life. Now, the only argument you had about dibs is how soon in advance you could dib something. You couldn't dib Ed Sullivan next Sunday night right after he just finished this Sunday night. There had to be some sort of opportunity for other people to. In my family, my brother was twice the size of any other human being his age, and so And he used that to his full advantage, but he did a thing in our family we refer to as ultimate dibs. And it always involved food, so he'd probably down to the kitchen, there'd be a last bottle of Coca-Cola in the refrigerator, he'd gather us all around, my sisters and me, around there. He'd open up the refrigerator, take that bottle of Coca-Cola out, uncap it, take a big swig, not swallow it, put it back in the bottle, put the cap on it, put it in the refrigerator, point to it and say, dibs on the Coke. And it was always like, no kidding, you know. Tom Cooties. My brother now is a saint. He's absolutely, I don't know what happened to him. He had some sort of experience, I guess, that just absolutely. We get so caught up in that reaction. So what I would do in that situation is, because I was looking through the interaction and didn't want to lose, is I expanded the conflict. This is a common thing we do in communication. So if I'm not going to win this battle, I'll just expand the battle in an area where I think I can win. I was the youngest in my family. I'm 54 years old. My mother still refers to me as her baby. So you can imagine what I did when Tom would pull the ultimate dibs thing. And he'd be in so much trouble. I just expanded changing the pattern of interaction in an attempt to change the social world that we're in. I want to show this with you, and we got time. I want to show you this to you as an example of the changing patterns, and this is an idea that we talk about of looking at conversational triplets. That we look at exchanges. We always look at the third turn that people take to look at how we generate meaning. This is an actual 911 call from a couple of years ago, San Jose. A woman's driving on the interstate. She sees a mattress in the interstate and decides to call 911 because she's worried about somebody hitting the mattress and having an accident. So she calls, so it goes, San Jose Police Dispatcher, San Jose Police Driver. Yes, I want to report there's a mattress in the middle of the freeway. Cars are dodging it left and right. The dispatcher says in the middle of the freeway and asks the question, all right? Now, we stop right here and we think in terms of, so what kind of social world is going to be created here? In this third term, and we spend a lot of time on the third term in our program. And this is an interesting third term because it's a third term that's a question, which is typically a good thing to do. It's provisional. It doesn't presume and create a social world prematurely. It's sort of allowing the other person to be involved in creating that social world with you. And so the dispatcher says, in the middle of the freeway. And I think this is going to jump around. So in bifurcation points, we ask, what are we making? How can we make something different in this conversation at every point? So what we do then is we take the last turn and we look at the next two. So we're always looking at a third turn. And so the dispatcher said, in the middle of the freeway, and the driver said, in the middle of the freeway on, and the dispatcher interrupts. Okay, you'll have to call the highway patrol for that. Now I want you to think about the third turn and how it creates meaning. What kind of social world do you create with another person when you interrupt their statement? That who's not important? Exactly. The person whoever the other interaction is, that in fact they don't get to participate in the social world because you've already figured out what the social world is supposed to be. And so without even thinking about it, you're imposing the social world on the both of you. The dispatcher says, okay, you'll have to call the highway patrol for that. So let's just follow this through. If we can. The driver says in the middle of the freeway on, okay, you'll have to call the highway patrol for that. Here's the next third turn. Why don't you call them for me? Or otherwise, I'll just leave the mattress in the middle of the freeway. I mean, it's 85. It's Highway 85. Now, there's a struggle here to create a social world. The struggle between somebody who doesn't want to take any initiative in this and somebody that wants someone to take initiative. I'll just leave the mattress in the middle of the freeway. Now look at this third turn. Is there a reason you're so upset? Now there's a way to calm somebody down. That third turn always works. When someone's getting anxious or upset, it always helps if you look at them and say, why are you getting so upset? If you don't believe me, just walk up to somebody who's calm and ask them, why are you so upset? And they'll get upset. That's all right. All right, so is there a reason you're so upset? Well, it took me forever to get through, and people are dodging this mattress, and I just wanted to maybe... All right, now look at this third turn. Now you start seeing a social world emerging that brings some clarity. Okay, what I'm telling you is the San Jose police do not respond to the freeway. It's the highway patrol jurisdiction. I'd be more than happy to give you the number if you'd like. Now, what's interesting about this exchange is that if you look at it from just one person's perspective, each response they're sharing makes sense.